think that was the quickest intro ever. And I think Ryan is setting the new standard.
Yes, he is. He's like, I am not going to wait for these guys to say anything. We're going to get this moving. We're going to get this going and steamroll right into it.
So after 24 full months, I think it's over 24 full months, of pregnant pauses with the start of the show, it was as clean as possibly it could be. Brian is forcing our hands.
He's forcing your hand. I surrender.
This is Ted Hicks. This is Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Happy to be here. On the boards, Brian Graves. Across from me, Richie C. Valdez.
Teddy Ted. I could have let it go. Could have held on to it. Next week we'll hold on to it longer. What's going on, brother?
Nothing, man. I was wondering if you were auditioning potentially for the next Super Bowl for the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest rendition of the national anthem.
No.
There won't be as much of a backlash now that this Colin Kaepernick thing in the NFL is kind of settled.
Take the money.
Oh, are you really going that route?
No, not actually. He should have. He should take every dime in that settlement.
Yeah.
And you know what? At that point, I think I would turn down any offers to come to the NFL.
Really?
I think I would, because the way he was maligned by so many, it's like, okay, if they came out with an honest admission statement. We won't even call it admission. If they came out with an honest statement,
never happens.
Exactly. But that was to come out and say, okay, you know what? We called this wrong.
Right.
It was not against the flag. It was not against being patriotic. It was not against America. It was a very valid political stance, and he disrespected nothing in the process.
I think they kind of did along the way with the billionaires offering X amount of dollars to Players Association for social justice programs and the like.
It's the right actions, but you still need the words.
Right. You still need to say it.
Yes.
It's no different, and I'm sorry that we got to go there.
Go there.
That it's no different from when a city or state government gives a $2.5 million payment to a mother of a slain son or daughter. They give them the money. There's no admission. Everyone walks away.
You mean in a case of like a police-involved shooting?
Yes.
Something like that?
Yes.
I think it's a little different.
Oh, okay.
Because, I mean, they're kind of both, well, they're not really both payoffs. I think one, what the NFL needs to do is apologize, basically, for what they did and how they treated the man.
Okay.
I mean, you know, when there's an accident, and those payoffs are coming out of insurance policies, and they you know, when someone gets shot and it's a problem, and you gotta give the parents the money and as much as you can, but they also tend to apologize as well.
Really?
To a degree. They
okay.
never come, you know, it's like, we're sorry this happened, this accident, and then they pay off the person, and that's it.
Right.
You get a statement of a sort. Unless there's when they really go for the money, then it's like, okay, no one can talk about it. We just settled, and that's the end of it.
Here's your NDA.
Right.
And be on your way.
Right.
And then you become a mother or father on the movement.
Correct.
I think we're going to totally piss somebody off with that last segment right there.
Why?
I don't know, because, you know, there's so many people that have run into this situation, and there is always a settlement, and then you never really hear from them anymore.
But they can. If you take that money, you sign that NDA, you're agreeing to never disclose certain details ever.
And I always categorize it as dirty money.
Sometimes it is.
You know, you take it and you've just given away your rights.
Correct.
To voice your opinion on your loved one or whomever else that you might have lost.
Correct. That's true.
And I mean,
Well, what if you need that money?
That's true. But in this case, did Colin Kaepernick need the money?
No.
Okay. I know this much. Publicly, it's been stated he signed a contract maybe in 2014, 2015 to play for his extension, to play for the San Francisco 49ers for about, maybe, I don't know, $127, $129 million.
So now have I heard, I believe I heard a number on this, we'll call it the payout, of about $70 million. Is that correct?
Okay. So why I can't acknowledge what the amount actually is, of that 129, he was given 39 of it.
Okay.
While he was playing.
And
then
90 left.
There's that gap,
right?
Of, I don't know, roughly, I think the guaranteed money was supposed to be 54.
Okay.
But the length of that contract was about in the 120s.
Okay.
So if you do the math, I think that number that you just said
is about the balance.
Is about the balance.
So this might not even end up really being a payoff versus a payout.
A payout of what was contracted.
Then there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Then that's just like, okay, we screwed you over. We're going to pay you what we owe you. And maybe then he doesn't even have as much in the way of NDAs, things like that. If that's the fact, if that's how it's going down, and they've paid him out what he was owed, then I retract my earlier statement. Go ahead and go back and play.
I was going to say, do you expect to see him back in the league? Eric Reed, who was also agreed to a settlement,
right? Yes,
was back in the league last year.
Okay, Kaepernick was more the polarizing persona,
right?
I think so. I'm going to flip the question: who do you think would pick him up? Because I think that's more that it would come down to.
Yeah, is he toxic? Yes. I think the NFL saw this was a situation where they couldn't win.
Right.
They wanted to go away.
Right.
This iteration of it.
Right.
Why? I said it on a podcast on Friday that Donald J. Trump is about to start campaigning.
Yes.
What is he like talking about?
Besides himself?
Besides himself, in front of crowds, large crowds, yes. Rural areas that are wearing red baseball caps.
Yes.
What does he like to talk about? NFL players kneeling, disrespecting the flag.
You think? You know what? I was going to make probably a stupid statement. Say, do you think he's going to pull that back out now? Because it's over. It's over and done with.
No, I think somewhere within the last year, when the last year, so the NFL for a year, the year of the campaign, the whole Clinton and Trump campaign, where the NFL was seeing a ratings hit,
yes,
was one piece. Then the following year, there was more ratings decline. I think somewhere down the line, those 30 or so billionaires were able to either get the president in the room or representatives of the president to get him to stop tweeting and talking and just mentioning SOBs and the NFL and isn't this a shame?
Right.
And what do you think about this? And they're disrespecting our flag and our country.
Right.
And so I think that was step one. Step two is they were losing the public case of PR against Kaepernick.
Yep.
With Nike throwing their dollars behind him, other people coming out, a lot of back and forth, whether it's during the Super Bowl or oh, I'm not performing because of XYZ.
Right. More backlash.
The groundswell is to let's get this guy paid off, and I think the next step would be to get him somewhere,
get him back on the field.
Even if he's because if you listen to so many coaches during this time frame since the last time he played, Colin Kaepernick he should be in the NFL. You would hear coaches say, I have no idea why he's not in the NFL.
Right.
Those are your more progressive coaches and progressive teams. Will we see him? We hope. We
hope so.
We do see him, whether it's a backup or a starter, or I think it comes down to he has to be placed in the right city.
Yes.
Not the right opportunity, meaning playing the game in the right
environment.
Right environment, right demographic, that he would be accepted.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
You know. So,
but then what do you think? You think he gets 2 or 3 more years and then retires?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And then in 15, 20 years, he's looked upon as our generation's version of Muhammad Ali.
Okay. He took a stand. Yeah.
He took a stand. He lost, dollars. He lost time at his peak playing.
Right.
He gave all of that up.
Okay. That's a fair analogy. And then Lifetime will put on the Colin Kaepernick story.
Yeah. Lifetime, and
he can get paid.
Netflix.
Yep. And he'll get paid off of that.
He'll get paid off of
Good
that.
for him.
Good for him. Will he ever be an analyst or this or that? I think they will keep him. They will stiff arm him.
Think so?
Yeah. I think so. Where let's keep him off in the corner. Let's show him respect.
Okay.
And keep it moving. On a sad note, there was a shooting in Aurora, Illinois. It seems like we've been doing this show here at 12:40 a.m. WGBB. I think this May makes 3 years. I think so.
I think that's about. Is it what? Yeah, that's right. I think that's right.
We cut the deal. We sat down with Mr. Lowe and Brian Graves
in the old studio,
and we begged them for time to come on the station.
Please, sir. May we have some time, sir?
May we have some time? Okay, I think so. This is Mr. Lowe. And then he said, but fortunately for you, but unfortunately for Brian, you'll have to work with him. I said, oh, okay. So, over these 3 years, or upcoming of 3 years, we've talked about so many different shootings.
Yes.
You become numb.
Children, adults, terrorism type.
We talked about AR-15s until we're blue in the face.
Yep.
We've created documentation. We've created content on this type of stuff. But it doesn't seem to be getting any better, Rich. It's like one thing after the next. But the one thing I want to tell you is, the usual spin. And yes, you're a supporter of the 2A.
Go ahead.
Okay. The usual GOP spin is, it's not about the guns. It's about mental health.
That's people.
It's mental illness. It's this. It doesn't matter that the person walked in and bought 20,000 rounds and body armor. And, I don't know. But this thing right here in Aurora, Rich, what's up with that?
I mean, this is almost the typical, though. I mean, if this had been instead of the employment location it was, if this had been the post office,
right?
As the same thing happened 20 years ago,
right?
When the phrase "going postal" got coined,
going postal,
because so many postal workers were going crazy in the 80s and 70s and shooting up their places of employment, and we have the same thing again. Man was getting fired. Turns out, I forget if it was a day before or a couple of days before, when some others were getting laid off.
Mm-hmm.
He had brought his weapon in with him. Didn't get laid off that day, but come back a few days later, and he gets laid off. And yes, he goes crazy and shoots and kills 5 people, wounding 5 officers. And of course, he's dead at the end of it. And now the big thing, of course, is a lot of people say, "Well, how do you have a gun?" Because he was a convicted felon from almost 20 years ago.
1995.
Somehow it slipped through the cracks.
Aggravated rape.
Yes.
From 1995.
1995. He Felony on the records.
Mississippi.
Felony on the records.
So wait. I need
Should
you to help.
not have been able to get a weapon.
I need you to help me out.
And I would go ahead.
Are these databases not linked? We've been in IT for
well,
how
so
long?
You got to remember, there's
For
a couple
how
of
long?
things.
How long have we been in IT?
God, going
collectively, 45
to 50 years.
Right. Okay. I yield the floor to you, sir.
This is the problem, I think, of every state controls how they want to handle firearms. So every state does have their own databases. Plus, there are the shared databases. You got the FBI databases. But, I mean, again, because we're IT guys, how many times have you heard of a database with records going back 30 years, not carrying over all 30 years, be like, okay, we can get the last 10.
Right. True.
I have no insight into this whatsoever, but I would bank money on it. This is a situation, something like that. Or, the one location updated their database, and again, because depending on the state, granted, everyone, when you go to buy a handgun, we're not talking long arms, you go to buy a handgun anywhere in the country, you've got to have that FBI background check.
Okay.
That's mandatory. But it doesn't have to not necessarily go any farther than that. Now, so do we know if this was a case of an FBI database that whoever was looking didn't look back far enough in the number of pages, didn't see the right little flag? The felony in the state wasn't reported properly, so it didn't get on the records in the FBI database? I'm sure people are looking into that now. I have no clue. But this person should not have been able to get a firearm in the first place.
So I want to challenge you with something.
Yes.
The challenge is, okay, I read this on a conservative website.
Okay.
And it stated that in 2014, something came up in regards to the aggravated rape.
Okay, in 2014.
In 2014. These gentlemen, who we don't want to name, received a letter to yield his firearm, and he never responded. Fast forward 5 years later.
And he's used that firearm in a killing.
Right.
Now, only going on what you've just said, I put the fault at whatever branch of law enforcement did not follow up.
Right.
Only going on what you just said. That's their responsibility.
Right. And like I said, it was, I said conservative news site because you and I have a lot of similarities.
Yep.
Where we like to get the news from the left, from the right.
You have to go to both sides. You have
even
to,
the folks that come right
up
the middle.
You have to. And just looking a little bit at what you mentioned here, he had gone in for a concealed carry permit.
Yes, a concealed carry.
And it did get caught.
There you go. But where's the follow through?
They never confiscated the weapon.
When we don't follow through at work, what happens?
Someone comes after us.
Right. Someone. Anyone.
I know who comes after me if I don't follow through. So, I mean, that is a concern and a question. I mean, I know from personal experience, if that was to happen in New York,
yes,
they're coming after you.
They're coming.
There's warrants going to be in. If you don't hand things in, warrants will be in place for your arrest.
Right.
And that's all there is to it.
Would there just be a virtual knock on the door or a physical knock on the door?
You don't hand it in. There's a physical knock coming.
Okay.
You don't hand it in. There's a warrant for you to submit the weapons. I don't know if they're going to do an arrest warrant for you or a search warrant of your premises to get the weapons or both. But warrants are coming. But Illinois, I'd have to look it up, is probably not one of the stricter states as far as firearms purchases. Gotcha. So, having a firearm out there when not everyone necessarily has to register it within the state could be another issue. Every handgun in New York, every legal handgun in New York is registered in the state.
Gotcha.
Could be a difference. Illinois could be one of the ones. Go buy it. Thank you. You did your FBI checks. Everything's good there. All right. See you later. Bye.
Valid point. Hey, this is Ted and Rich, Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Want to say hello to our friends KACR in Alameda, California. Thank you for downloading the show. Richie V, I'll say the name Jussie Smollett.
Toxic name right now.
It's a very toxic name.
A week? Was it a week ago?
About
was it
2
weeks ago?
Maybe 2 weeks ago.
We were talking about Jussie Smollett getting attacked, racial implications.
Is he still on the show? Do you watch the show?
No, I don't.
I don't watch the show either.
Never have.
I might have seen one episode.
I mean, ditto.
For Taraji.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for Taraji.
That's it. I was like, oh, what is Taraji wearing?
Ooh. Hi,
Hey there.
But that's what we're hearing, and everyone was out there, signs in the air for Jussie, and this is a travesty, and how could this be happening in Chicago?
Chicago, right.
Now, allegedly, we must preface everything with allegedly. A couple of brothers have come up, actors, Nigerian brothers, coming up to say Jussie Smollett paid them for this act, to commit this act, alleged act.
So I have to stop you, because in pre-pro...
Yes, in pre-pro.
We briefly talked about, with us being in the IT field, we are always dealing with spam, we're always dealing with phishing attacks, and we're always dealing with emails from Nigerians requesting money. And this has nothing to do with that.
No, this has nothing to do with that. This isn't his long lost cousins from Nigeria who've won $5 million and need his bank account just to verify the funds.
Right.
No, and this is already going to the point where these gentlemen are no longer being considered suspects.
No longer.
They are considered cooperating witnesses.
So he's agitated two strong bases.
As we also talked about in pre-pro.
Uh-huh.
How is this going to get called out? Is this going to get called out by the LGBTQ community for putting out false information, making that group look bad? Or will this be called out by the African American community, the black community, calling it bad and calling that? Or will it just be both? And is everything going to rain down on him? How's this going to go?
This is bad. This is bad.
You gotta hope. And then there's still the overarching question: why? Why do this? You are on a very highly rated show,
right?
You're making money.
You're making money per episode if you're still on the show.
If you're still on the show, and if not, syndication.
Right.
You're making money.
You're making money.
Why?
Your face is known throughout the world. These type of shows air everywhere.
Yes.
All over the world.
All over the world.
Okay? So, I don't know. What's the rhyme or reason to this? It's painful because you look at both of those communities and what they had to endure. Not just with this issue. I'm talking about encompassing everything.
Yes.
So you have someone who states that this is the fact, this is what happened. The groundswell is going to start, and you're going to stand behind that person.
Yep. And then to come out to say that he was lying about it?
Right. Come on.
So let's see how we're talking about this in a week.
Yeah, we'll table it. So there's a segment that I guess we should start.
Okay. A regular segment?
A regular segment. We don't do regular segments, but if we did, we would call it Who's Running for President.
All right, we're going to have some kind of
music.
Segment intro music.
Yes, we are. We're going to work on that.
Okay.
We're going to work on that with
Who's Running for President, the 2020 edition.
Listen, our folks here at LNP are going to talk to the folks at WGBB, and we're going to work on segment music, on who's running, and we're going to do this. I'm not saying we're going to do this weekly,
but we'll do it on a regular basis.
Okay, we'll do it. On a regular
We'll come up with something. Yes.
You know, so I don't know. I don't want to say it's similar to like a clown car.
How many people can you fit? How many runners can you fit into a Volkswagen?
Come on.
Or a telephone booth?
It's just too many people, Rich.
I'm just now looking at this list from the New York Times, and the number of likely runners in the running, all but certain, there's like 35 people on this list.
Did you say the failing New York Times?
No, I did not say the failing New York Times. No, I did not. I didn't. I mean, come on. Let's look at. All right, you know what? I'm sure you have the same list open.
I have the same list open. There's so much. I just want to throw out this brief hot take so that we can have it recorded.
Okay.
So that when we continue to do the show, and God willing, we're here for 2020.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm going to go out and say something. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm going to make one statement looking at this now.
For July 2020.
Okay.
That we can reference this, and we can say, Brian,
remember when?
Let's go to the videotape.
Let's get to the audio tape.
Oh, the audio tape. Sorry. I was thinking of Warner Wolf. I'm just going to say this. If you're a Democrat.
Yes, go ahead.
If you're a Democrat and you expect to win this election.
I was going the same place.
You cannot live in either coast.
Oh.
The person who will be named the Democratic candidate will come from Middle America. Preferably, whether it's Klobuchar or Beto O'Rourke, someone that, because you already have the coast. The coast aren't voting for a Republican candidate.
Very true.
The rest of the country that's red and the few spots that are purple, it has to come from somewhere in the middle that can touch the people as Trump was able to touch those people.
You can't be a polarizing Democrat.
No, you can't be.
Because looking at this gaggle of people, if even half of them end up on even the first stage at the Democratic primary, the debates,
yes,
it'll be a duplicate of what happened with Trump. You'll get one of them who no one expected to do it, be the nominee, and Trump will win.
Yes.
And you'll have no one to blame but yourselves.
The other piece, which we haven't talked about, but maybe we have talked about that, these billionaires.
Yeah.
I don't want to say these out-of-touch billionaires.
But they're totally out of touch.
They're totally out of touch.
On both sides.
On both sides. But they're totally out of touch. And the fact that they can run as an independent.
You're buying an election. This is one of my pet peeves. We really need to implement and put in place limits on election spending across the board.
Yes.
If you're going to run for president, okay, you can spend X amount of dollars and nothing more, and that's the end of it. And have at it. You have to level that playing field.
So you're talking about a hard cap.
Hard cap.
Are you willing to go a hard cap also with not being able to be associated with any super PACs?
Yes.
Okay. Then I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Absolutely. You got to run on your own merits.
Yes.
And on, this is the amount you have to spend. Budget wisely. Spend wisely. And that might make people actually get even more involved in the political game. Because then you will have to say, well, I really don't need to spend over here because this is already kind of my territory. But over here I might have to spend some more. But you can't just buy your way into election. Into office. 4
of the 5 female senators, 4 female senators and 1 congresswoman. I believe that the Bernie Sanders and the Joe Bidens of the world, along with the out-of-touch billionaires, are hesitant to dip their toes in there because they're going to come off as stifling the women.
That's a fair play.
I think they should be allowed to do whatever they want to do.
Yes, absolutely.
But I'm thinking right now, with this thing being so crowded, that or the fact that since they have name recognition and backing, that they can wait. There's no rush.
They can sit back, just get the names on ballots.
Right.
Sit back, wait and see what happens. Let the first group kind of shake it out, and then step in.
That's what I would think, because like right now, like you said, this list here.
This list is just way too huge, and if we're looking at here, there's 12 that are all but certain to be running or are already running, a couple more that are likely to run, and a bunch of might runs. It's going to be interesting.
I think interesting is a great word that you can choose. I think it will be amusing. And the one thing that I believe we all hope is that there isn't that backbiting that took place, that what we saw in 2015, 2016 with the Republicans.
And no cheating. I'm just going to put it out there. We'd be saying President Sanders if he hadn't tried to ram another candidate down our throats.
It's true. It's true.
Facts are facts.
Facts are facts. Facts are facts. So I think this was a good step into having this as a regular segment for the next 18 months.
Yep. So call it now. Who do you think is going to be Democratic front? Or even go between two people. I'll give you a couple of choices.
I think hands down O'Rourke.
Okay.
Secondary is she's charismatic. I think Klobuchar.
Okay.
Not that I don't love our girl Kamala Harris.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were going to say.
Love her to death, but I still stand by the coast. You're west, you're east. You can't. It's going to be pretty darn hard to connect with those folks in
the middle.
In the middle, where the dirt is red.
Right. The purple. I mean, the bright red states, you're still not going to get.
You're not going to get.
You're not going to get those. The purple states, okay, maybe.
And being able to penetrate those swing states.
That's the key. It's always the key, but that really will be the key this time. Right. I think it'll be interesting to see how many of those that went as swing states for the Trump election swing back.
Right.
That's going to be key.
I think so. So this is Ted and Rich on Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Blog posts are up daily. Podcasts are up weekly. Twitter feeds and Facebook feeds are posted by the minute.
I got one for you this time.
Okay.
We talked about it. It looked like it was coming.
Okay.
I couldn't see anything negative about it.
The upcoming snowstorm?
Plenty of negative there. Amazon. Ted, what happened? This was. I am tongue-tied on. Oh, Ted's counting things on his fingers. Okay, he's counting words. Ted, what happened?
What happened was
25,000 jobs.
25,000 jobs, Rich. Do the math.
Upgrading.
Virtual whiteboard, 25,000.
25,000 jobs.
Okay.
You're upgrading an area, which is a rather, in some portions of it, a blighted area.
Yes, where NYCHA is alive and well.
For those who don't know what NYCHA is, New York City Housing Authority.
Okay.
Alive and well. So there was a potential issue there.
Okay.
Relocating people. No question about it. Can't talk that down. Amazon says we want $3 billion in tax concessions.
$3 billion.
It's a lot of money.
A company that's valued, their valuation is almost $1 trillion.
Yes.
Wants $3 billion
in concessions.
Okay, go ahead.
But they're going to have 25,000 people. Well, let's first just talk about you got to build the place.
Yes.
Construction. So all the construction trades are going to make huge dollars out of this.
Yes. Over by where the Citibank building was.
Yes, Long Island City.
Yes.
Which I remember when they built the Citibank building.
Yes.
And how destitute that area was, and that was the beginning of what has become a technical and a residential and now industrial zone.
Long Island City, the home of Nas.
Queensbridge
housing projects. Stand up. Okay.
So you have all the benefits of construction.
Yes. Jobs.
Jobs across the board.
Jobs.
25,000 employees, and they did say the median salary for that 25,000, those 25,000 employees was, I believe, it was either $100,000 or $120,000 a year.
I'll say 3 letters to you.
Go ahead.
FTE. Full-time employees.
Full-time employees.
Okay.
25,000 at that money. So now we could do some simple math. I'm not even going to do the math, but I'm going to say 25,000 employees where the median salary is we'll just say $100,000. Those are all tax-paying employees.
Yes.
Forget about any concessions. Forget about what you didn't collect that you didn't have in the first place.
Okay.
That's all money coming in.
Okay.
So tax revenue right there goes up. And we're not talking a short-term project. If Amazon had come here decades, this wouldn't have been, all right, the company's here for 5 years and they move out. They would have been here for who knows how long. And so you give them 10 years, give them 5 years. I don't know what the time frame was on that $3 billion, but give it to them. It's not like you're going to be losing anything. You're asking them not to pay. They're looking for a deal. Okay. They'll be paying taxes at whatever point in the future anyway. You're going to have the taxes from the employees. You're going to have the income from the construction. You're going to have an overall benefit to the entire area. I don't see how that was a lose-lose, except, yes, there would have been some issues with relocating people, and that would have had to be tackled. But you make Amazon pay for it, fine, or negotiate. Didn't seem like there was any negotiation with this.
I thought it was a great opportunity to renegotiate.
Right.
To renegotiate.
You say one thing, they come back with another thing, and then you got to come back to the table and meet somewhere in the middle. Doesn't seem like that happened.
Doesn't seem like that happened, or if it. Well, we know it's never, ever going to happen. News clipping that I had sent to you on Twitter this week, which stated LaGuardia Community College. I'm sorry that this is a super local version of this show.
But this made national news.
All right, this
was totally national news.
LaGuardia Community College, CUNY, and SUNY are working with Amazon Web Services to create a new certificate program enabling tens of thousands of students to land entry-level New York-based tech roles in the high-demand cloud computing industry.
That would have been here.
Amazon Future Engineers Program will provide funding for computer science classes in more than 130 city high schools.
We called this
the cart before the horse.
Yep, but that was smart. Get it ready. Get programs together because you're going to need a few years to get people educated to fill those jobs.
You called it. Take the credit.
It's our show.
But you called it. You said.
I'll take that credit.
How many years do we have before this stuff goes live?
Then you need, and then you have people who are qualified to take those jobs because people said initially, oh, they're going to be 120,000. No one's going to be qualified for them. You're going to have years to get people qualified.
You just did a slight impersonation of the voice that people aren't going to be. That was me. That was me saying that because I was saying, hey, where are these jobs going to? Are they going to go to people with, H-1B visas? Or are they going to the local citizen, but the local residents that live there in the neighborhood?
Or even in the 5 boroughs, living in New York City. Right. This would have been a benefit to the city. And like you said, it was the educational programs throughout the 5 boroughs.
Right.
And the location itself, centrally located. You can get to Long Island City. Now especially, you can get to Long Island City easily from anywhere in the city by public transportation.
Right. So...
And what has Amazon said? Okay,
Goodbye.
Never mind. Goodbye.
Goodbye and good night, which will be the title of this episode.
I like that title.
Goodbye and good night. So long.
I don't know what to say. This would have been Nehemiah and Nala's future employment location.
Turn off the lights. Close the door, Brian. It's over. So no more Amazon.
But they are going to put some more money into some of the locations they have here in New York already.
Yes. But they already had offices.
It's not going to be what it could have
been.
But
they have offices everywhere.
Yes, true.
So I think they said they either have 170 offices locally. Everywhere. So does that mean the 25,000 jobs goes directly to Virginia, or does some of that split off to the operations center that's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee?
Who knows? Well, they were doing Nashville anyway.
They were doing Nashville anyway for ops.
This is 25,000 jobs lost.
So what does that mean to de Blasio's 2020 campaign?
People will be shooting fire at him.
What does that mean for Governor Andrew Cuomo in his 2024-2028 campaign?
He wanted this.
They both wanted this, but what happened?
Was really vocal about it.
But what happened? They went around local, city politicians.
Yeah.
They cut the deal.
Yeah.
They cut them out. And what happens?
Local people stood up.
The people stood up and said constantly, we don't want you here. Look at Seattle. We don't want to be like Seattle.
Yeah.
So, hence, we have this. I don't know.
Amazon, come to Long Island.
Come to Long Island.
Come to Long Island. Come out to
Dude,
Hempstead.
Come to Hempstead,
Uniondale.
Roosevelt, Freeport.
There's the old go out farther east, the old Grumman location.
Yes. Route 110.
Huge location.
Melville.
No, past Melville.
Oh, okay.
Out by Calverton.
Okay. Out by Calverton.
Huge area. Or Melville. Yeah, go out. Come on.
Yeah.
Is anyone listening?
Amazon, are you there?
Are you there? Come back to New York, please.
Hello, Alexa.
Please. Alexa, call Jeff Bezos.
Please tell him.
Tell him Ted and Rich have an idea for him.
Yes. Last night, I went to Mohegan Sun, Rich.
You did?
I drove out to Mohegan Sun.
So why are you here today, man?
Not to gamble.
Sticking around out there.
Because, guess what?
What were you there for?
I was there for MMA.
Bellator.
Bellator 216. Primarily, it's two separate sets of cards.
Okay.
So when you go to these type of events, the prelims and then kind of like the main event.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
Prelims are usually on the local television or local or cable television station.
Yep.
And then the main event is usually on some type of streaming service.
Right.
I was there to support person that has visited the show before, Jesse James Kosakowski.
I remember that phone call.
Yes, sir. He fought last night. I did not get to speak to him. I did see him. He made the gentleman that he fought tap out.
Congratulations, Jesse. Good job.
Round 2, he tapped. Got the gentleman to tap out. It was a tough match.
Nice work.
He's now 3-0 in his professional career. I think he's 21 years old. He's from Connecticut, so he had a big
hometown crowd.
Oh my goodness!
Nice.
It was a nice drive, about 2 hours and 20 minutes. Went out there.
That's not bad. Which way did you go? You went down? Did you take one of the ferries, or did you go down and around through the 95. City and back up 95?
Right up 95.
That was quick.
Yeah, it was really quick. Went there, enjoyed the prelims. The main event, which was consisted of about 4 matches, subpar.
Really?
Totally subpar. A lot of standing around, a lot of sizing up each other.
And no engagement.
And the fans were giving it to them out in Connecticut.
Well, they should.
Oh, my goodness. So, like I said, the prelims, through the roof. Totally mixing it up. Mm-hmm. Fans were all charged up. Total sellout. I think that stadium, well, that venue holds maybe, I don't know, 5,000 people.
All right. Okay.
You know, if even.
Okay.
But,
so it's close. I mean, that's how it is in a lot of events like that, boxing events, right? The undercard is the guys who are young and hungry, working their way up, can't afford any losses, and are raw. You know, so good. It sounds like it was a good time to be had. Congratulations, Jussie.
Definitely. Gonna have them come on, I would say, next week or two.
Nice.
Before we close out here in our final segment, wanted to give a big shout out to the Cradle of Aviation Museum.
You know, I have never been there.
In Garden City, New York.
I have never been there in all the years, and every year I say, I got to get out there, and I've never gone.
Believe it or not, you are going to get out there sooner than later.
Oh, okay.
We have been granted passes. They're gonna have a couple of events coming up. The 50th anniversary of the Apollo is going to be happening in March. We're going to be doing a couple of giveaways on the show. And this upcoming week is for most kids that are in school, K through 12. Mm-hmm. It's President's Week.
Yep.
So happy President's Day to all. And we have an article on Late Night Parents right now, 5 ways for families to celebrate engineering during the February break. It's all about sparking curiosity, imagination, and optimism during National Engineering Week with various family fun activities. So, big shout out to our friends at Cradle of Aviation Museum. Nice. They will have someone coming on in the next few weeks also.
Looking forward to speaking with them.
As we segue to that, this is Ted and Rich with Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Rich, VPNs. We have talked about VPNs
many, many times.
Until we're blue in the face.
Turning kind of blue.
Totally.
But this kind of is a little slap on the hands, kind of, sort of.
So you sent me a tweet that said they might not be as secure as you think.
So, as it, you would like to think that someone offering a VPN, which, as we said many times, the purpose of your VPN is so you can have secured connectivity over your network. So whatever you're doing on your computer, you're browsing the web, you're sending emails, you're logging into sites, whatever you're doing. Privacy. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple. And as we've said, there are a number of firms out there offering VPN services. You connect your VPN, it's bounced all around the world, blah, 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 blah. Well, it turns out that a small number of VPN providers actually were trapping and tapping into the traffic of their subscribers. The whole purpose of your VPN, of course, is so this doesn't happen. But the provider its network is going through their hardware, their equipment. So, I don't, going on the details, not the big names, not those who you say, quote unquote, you can trust. So I guess it still will, as all things do, come down to there's a little bit of the buyer beware. Don't just go with Joe Schmo's VPN, go with a known VPN name. But still, you're doing everything you can, and still these things happen. Now, I didn't see anything where anyone's information was taken, or PII, anything like that. But just the fact that they were doing it is a little concerning.
I reached out to Patrick Nelson, who wrote the article on Network World, to see if we can get him on in a few weeks to
be a nice conversation,
have a thorough discussion about this. Because I guess people do see, it's kind of like you said, buyer beware wherever and whatever you're dealing with. If you see, hey, if you're typing in, if you're doing a web search on VPN, and you see, so you pull it up, go to Google, you type in VPNs, or low-cost VPN, cost-effective VPN.
Yep.
And next thing you know, hey, here's your VPN for 15 cents. And then you see the little word down below that says ad. A lot of people don't know that's like Google AdWords. That means someone has paid to be ranked high on a list.
Yep.
So, and if you think about it, you got to be careful.
Right.
Because I think you said it, if something sounds too good to be true,
it probably is.
It probably is. I think we got to do a segment on AdWords versus AdSense.
Oh, that would be a good one.
Yeah, in the future, because I think people don't even realize. Because they click.
When you do your Google search, don't click on the first thing at the top of the list. That should be the rule now.
And you're going to see something, and it's going to say ad.
It's going to say ad. That's the first thing it says, ad. And usually the top 2 or 3 items in the list are all paid to be at the top, or all paying, rather, to be at the top of the list. Doesn't mean they're bad. Doesn't mean they're good. It just means they've paid to have that position to come up first in that list. Don't click on that.
So, are you watching the Oscars next week?
Doubt it.
I usually wouldn't watch it.
Wakanda forever.
I got a feeling that swirl, that PR, that traffic for Black Panther.
What, you think they'll get Best Picture?
I think they'll get Best Picture.
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
No, I don't see it.
Do you think Spike Lee will win Best Director? Director of the Year. BlacKkKlansman? Did you see it? I didn't see it.
I heard great. No, I didn't see it, but I heard really good things about it.
Really good things about
it. I can't answer that without looking and seeing what the other major nominees were.
Okay.
Spike is qualified to get it.
Spike is overdue.
Spike has been it's been a long time. Spike is overdue. I do hear that BlacKkKlansman would be worthy of him getting the Best Director award for. So let's see. I think Black Panther, which was a fantastic film. I'm not downing it at all.
Money-wise.
But it's gonna, and just film-wise, the acting was great. You know, it was just a good, enjoyable film. But I think it's going to suffer because it's a superhero film.
Okay.
And I don't, the Academy is still a little too huff and puff, hoity-toity to say a superhero film won Best Picture. Now, it should win maybe cinematography, animation, costume. There's a whole bunch of other things that I would expect it to be nominated for and deserving of and winning. Best Picture, hard sell.
Last mini segment is, I guess we can consider this to be rapid fire. So I'm going to throw this out here.
Uh-oh.
Everything about this presidential period from 2016 to the current date has been unconventional.
Yes.
This emergency declaration,
it's going to backfire.
I kind of think back to, you remember when Harry Reid went nuclear?
On what topic? Refresh my memory.
I'm not sure if it was Obamacare, to push Obamacare through.
And almost wanted to declare executive order or whatever. Was that?
Well, it was an executive order, and I think also they went nuclear, meaning going from 60 to 51, just to get something pushed through.
Right.
And then we saw the same with Gorsuch, and we saw the same with Kavanaugh, with that being the new norm, right?
Yes.
This emergency declaration.
Bad.
So just to quote Nancy Pelosi, the speaker, that when the Democratic president is in charge and he or she declares a
national emergency
for gun violence,
what are you going to say?
What are you going to say, and how much further apart do we push this country because the leaders in place can't get their acts together?
It just certain precedents you have to think about before you set them.
True.
You got to look down and say, if I may be getting something done for myself right now, but especially with the law, you are setting precedent. You're opening up now for when someone on the other side of your table or the other side of your aisle wants to do something, you've just given them the ability to do it.
Parting thought is, if we have funds in place for Puerto Rico, for national disasters, for families in need, for military, shouldn't those funds be used that way appropriately?
Yes, they should.
Instead of the disaster of the moment,
which isn't even a disaster. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I mean, and I am not at all saying that those coming across the border illegally should be doing so. But granted, we don't live down there.
We don't.
So we don't see it with our own two eyes. I don't think it's a national disaster.
I just think a lot of people think we come off as jaded because we live in New York.
Yes.
And New York and California is different than the rest of the country.
Yes,
I mean, country.
Yes, they are.
Totally different.
Totally different. We don't run. We see someone of color, regardless of what shade of color they may be.
Right.
No, they're not all drug dealers. They're not all illegals. They're not. They're people. Right. But I will stick by, and I think you do too, as for that matter, stick by the statement of, you want to come to the country, please do. Just do it legally.
You got to do it legally.
Follow the process.
Yes.
File the forms.
Do it the right
may
way.
Take a long time,
yes.
Whatever. Please do so. Come to the country. We come open arms. You come in illegally, get out. Gotcha. You came illegally. That's all.
All right. Best ways to get in contact with you, Rich?
I'm still Late Night Rich.
And I am the real Ted Hicks.
And we're out of here.
And we're out.
This is the longest outro we've had in a while.